What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as Spurs beat Everton 2-0 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. And if you're new around here, please scroll down and smash that subscribe button. We really appreciate all you guys' support. And yeah, but let's get straight into it, into the player ratings, and starting off with Hugo Laurie. 6s all round from us. Didn't have a save to make the whole game. Hardly had a touch of the ball the whole game. So not really much to mention.
Yeah, probably the quickest Lloris review will do. Didn't have anything to do. Could put his feet up, drink, get a cup of coffee ready, brew a tea. He's all right. He's all right. He's all right. This one.
Exactly. Let's move on to Eric Dyer, centre of the back three. Obviously, I thought he had a really strong game. Defensively, I thought all three of them stood up. Really dominant performances. You saw his passing ability out the back as well, but really dominant display from Eric Dyer.
Yeah, and I felt first half as well for the first opening exchanges, he was being super aggressive, and
he was literally on the halfway line for that whole first half.
Yeah, and that was a positive way we were penning Everton in, and we were making sure they weren't getting out. Obviously, they managed to do it later in the half, but I thought early on he was super aggressive. His passing, I think it's for a centre back, is really, really strong, and I think it was on display again yesterday. And I think Morpie barely had a sniff. So good display from Dyer.
Yeah, which moves us on to Ben Davies on the left of that back three, and yet another really strong display from Ben Davies as well. I thought he was super aggressive at the back, did his work going forward as well. Hardly anything got past him pretty much. I thought it was, again, I'm going to say that you're going to get sick of me hearing saying this, but it was a really dominant display, especially from Ben Davies, and I thought he contributed going forward as well quite often. His passing out the back, especially in the first half, was really strong, and in the second half he laid that one on. Brilliant cross for Harry Kane with that volley where you thought Harry Kane might have scored from, but Harry Kane did get an awesome connection to it, to be fair. But no, really strong display.
Yeah, I thought in the first half Gray seemed to be targeting him, and Davis was making a lot of fouls in the first half on Damari Gray, but I think maybe when you think about it, it was just maybe stopping his progression. He didn't get booked, so there were clever fouls in clever positions. I thought his passing as well was really good, especially ones into a couple of times into Harry Kane, one in the first half, one in the second half, and he was able to support the attack on the left-hand side and get involved in the full-back position, almost like a left-back for a lot of the game. Really advanced, and really, really positive display from Davis, who's stepping up to the challenge that Longley is throwing to him.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Moving on to the last of the back three, which is Cuti Romero. Sim gives him a 9, I gave him an 8, and I thought this was his best display of the season, to be fair. He was stepping in front of the defender attackers really well, being super aggressive, super dominant. I was so impressed with him throughout the game, driving us forward as well. His little dinks into the midfield and his link-up play with Matt Doherty was there for all to see. And like I said, I keep saying this every week, but he's getting better and better week on week, and this is another sign of it.
Yeah, I think his performance, even though he's improving recently, went up another notch in this game. I thought the amount of times he was so aggressive and winning the ball back off the feet of the opposition players when they're on the attack, and not only does he win the ball back, but more often than not he actually regains possession as well and puts us right on the front foot. Really, really impressive for Romero, his aggressive tackling style, and I thought his little passes into the penalty area was super dangerous. He set up a chance for Harry Kane in the second half, he set up a chance for Perisich in the first half as well inside the box. So I was super happy with Romero, and I thought he barely put a foot wrong. The only thing is he got in a bit of a muddle with Højbjerg, which led to a chance for Everton. Only blot on the copybook for Romero, but I thought it was a near faultless display and a really, really impressive display from Romero as well.
And he was putting in some really hard tackles as well, wasn't he? And they were all absolutely spot on. So big up Cuti Romero yesterday. Let's move on to the right wing back in Matt Doherty. Sim gives him a 7, I gave him an 8. In the first half, he was standing up to everything coming his way defensively, but I would have liked to have seen him get forward a bit more in that first half. But when the second half came and we moved to a 3-5-2 system, you really saw Matt Doherty flourish. He was getting balls in the box time and time again. He was contributing so well to the attack. Didn't have much to do defensively in that second half, but you saw that hug that Conte gave him when he came off, signalled a really, really good performance from Matt Doherty. Step in the right direction, better, and he's built on that performance as well from the Brighton game as well.
Yeah, definitely. We're starting to see the Matt Doherty I feel that we saw last season, and then I think Conte's comments show that, and I thought it was a really strong display. I was really happy with Doherty in the whole. Obviously, his shot, which led to the penalty as well, despite the fact that Pickford spilled it, was a decent shot with a lot of power on it. I think he won a few free kicks in some dangerous positions as well with dribbling ability, which you don't really associate with Matt Doherty, his ability to take people on. And his first touches were making it very difficult for Dwight McNeil to deal with him, and he was making it very awkward for the opposition wing backs to tackle him. And he was being really that was really, really impressive. And he was trying to get on the end of things as well. The back post where Perisich was swinging crosses, he was there arriving late at the back post, trying to make things happen at the back post. So I was super happy with him, and I think as well his link-up play is just so different to Emerson, where he's like making clever passes and doing clever runs, whereas Emerson is just kind of relies on his physicality. Doherty relies on kind of his brain and how he uses the ball and
he's a much
clever
better
touches.
Than Emerson, isn't he?
Yeah, and I just think physically, obviously Emerson has the upper hand, but when it comes to the footballing brain, Doherty just does more clever things, and that's what I like about him.
Completely agree. Let's move on to Ivan Perisich on the left wing. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. I thought he started the game unbelievably well. He was getting down that left-hand side. He was causing Seamus Coleman no ends of problems, getting really good balls into the box. One notably for Richarlison, where he should have done a lot better for, but time and time again in those opening 15-20 minutes, he was really getting into really good positions on that left-hand side and getting good balls in the box. I thought he kind of weaned out the game a bit up until maybe the last 10, 15, 20 minutes, where he came alive again and started taking shots on goal, and you saw that fitness really come through with Ivan Perisich. I mean, I'd like to see him maybe, do influence the game a bit more for the whole 90-minute period, but still a good performance.
Yeah, I was really happy with him. I thought he was a big danger on that left-hand side. He was whipping in some really good crosses into the box, setting up chances for Richarlison, setting up chances for Harry Kane as well. He was making it. He was actually playing a bit more central at times, and especially in the first half, making things awkward for the Everton backline, almost like a de facto left winger for most of the game as opposed to a left wing back. And I thought he was causing problems. He was obviously using his right and his left foot, and it was making it very hard for Everton to read when he was going to cross the ball, and his crosses weren't getting blocked as much as maybe in previous games, and whenever he does seem to get a bottom cross in the box, it seems to be a really dangerous one more often than not. I thought his set pieces as well, I thought he was causing a lot of danger, and I thought he was. They were difficult to deal with, despite the fact that Everton just about did. And I was really happy with him. And as you say, last few minutes of the game as well, he was getting past people and getting into the box, and showed that even at his age, he's still got really good stamina about him and good fitness. And I was very happy with Perisich. I thought it was one of his better displays in a Tottenham shirt.
Let's move on to Rodrigo Ben Tankor, made part of that double pivot in the first half and part of that three-man midfield in the second half. 8s all round from us. And Ben Tankor, I thought in the first half it was a really strong display, kept things simple, kept things really aggressive. He was going for the throats of the Everton midfielders, and he made life a nuisance, definitely, for those Everton midfielders in the first half. But it was the second half where he really came alive. As soon as Basuma came on, kind of the shackles were released off Ben Tankor, and you saw him driving forward time and time again. Massive part as to why Everton just couldn't get out of their half in the second half. And obviously with that lung-busting run right at the end, showed his fitness to get the ball into Højbjerg to score the second goal and the winner. So really good display from Ben Tankor, and he's another one that's going from strength to strength. Yeah,
he got an unjust booking, I felt, in the first half as well. So he had to play with a lot of maturity to make sure that he doesn't miss time any tackles, and he's still aggressive and being difficult to play against without treading that line of getting a second booking. And I thought it was really unfortunate, because that booking, he actually won the ball in the first half, and the referee...
That's how I felt as well.
Yeah, he did. He won the ball. It was a clean tackle.
It was quite far away from me, and I remember saying to Grandpa at the time, like, how is that a booking? He clearly won the ball.
Yeah, it wasn't even a foul, let alone a booking, so that must have been very frustrating for him, but he didn't let it get to him. He obviously kept putting in challenges and good ones at that. I thought... he was making lots of challenges on the Everton midfielders and winning the ball back more often than not. And then once Basuma came on, he was given a bit more license to go forward. He was able to get an assist for Højbjerg with a really good pass, and he was actually and he showed that when given the opportunity, he can be a bit creative, and he can pull off a pass in the final third. And we've been always calling for Ben Tankor to show more of that, and I think he's starting to now, especially in the three midfield. So another good performance from him.
Yeah, I feel like the three in midfield suits him so much more than the two in midfield. But that's just me. But let's move on to Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. 8 from Sim, 9 from me, and another unbelievable display from the man that is so in form at the moment. I can't believe what performances he's putting in, week out. Defensively sound, super aggressive in the middle of the park, driving Spurs forward as well. Got another goal to his name. I mean, that's 6 goal contributions in his last 6 home games, which is unbelievable to see. And he just does such a work rate. His work rate is just unbelievable. It really is. He's just Trojan workhorse in the middle of the park, and I'm just loving every second from Pierre-Emile Højbjerg at the moment. And that finish, I know it got a little nick off the defender, which kind of guided it in, so he got a bit lucky in that sense, but can't take away from the performance because it was another unbelievable display.
Yeah, and the consistency is incredible, especially the fact that he literally plays every minute. He barely ever gets substituted as well. His fitness is absolutely top notch, but another really strong display from Højbjerg. He takes things now in the centre of the park. I think his passing is very underrated. We know how hard he works. We know how many tackles he makes, but it's those final third contributions that he's adding to his game that's making him the complete midfielder. And 5 consecutive home games, he's now got a goal contribution. He was worried it was going to be an own goal. The referee made a joke with him, but obviously it was his goal, and that's what you can do when given a bit more license to get forward. He can get in those positions and he can help support the attack, and he's been doing that now for a few weeks. So really impressive again by Pierre, and I'm so happy with him.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the front line. Let's talk about Richarlison, who played in the right side at number 10. 6s all round from us. I expected more from Richarlison, not going to lie. I think that the work rate was clearly there. He was definitely pressing fairly well in that first half, and he saw a fair amount of the ball. But I felt like Everton kind of knew how to deal with him at times. There were a couple of times where he did take it, beat his man and look for something to happen, but he definitely should have had a goal, maybe even 2 goals yesterday. He was getting in good positions, but didn't really finish his dinner yesterday. And I felt like he just left us wanting a bit more than we got yesterday. Richarlison, obviously, it was hard to see him go down injured, quite a bad knock in the second half, and he got to get taken off, and the team thrived because of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's hope for a speedy recovery. I felt like he's still struggling a bit to be the player that we know he is on that right-hand side, because I think he's still struggling kind of maybe with the timing of the runs and where to run to. I feel like when he's on the left or he's in the centre, when he's running from out to in, it's more natural for him. But when he's on that right-hand side, he's not sure whether to go run on the outside or run on the inside, and he's struggling being found by Harry Kane. However, he did make one good run for right at the end of the half where Kane put a brilliant ball in. He got a run on the defender and got a volley in, but unfortunately he got it a bit wrong and it went over the bar. He got a header on goal as well in the beginning of the game, which was over the bar. He could have done a bit better with that one. So he did get a couple of chances, and I don't think he played badly, but when comparing to definitely the rest of the team, he still wasn't quite at their level. And as I say, the chances he missed could have been a bit better. So it was a shame when he went off, and hopefully he's back. But I think the team did well for it, to be fair.
Let's move on to Heung-min Son, left of the number 10, left-sided number 10. 8's all round from us, and Sonny as well is just going from strength to strength. I mean, he was getting good crosses. I mean, especially in like the first half, I saw some really good crosses in there from Sonny. Good link-up play with Perisich, good link-up play with Harry Kane. The effort and the desire, always running, non-stop running for pretty much the whole game. I mean, I would have liked to have seen a goal contribution in there from Sonny yesterday, but I thought that what he's showing now is like miles away from what he showed at the beginning stages of the season, and it's the Sonny that we all know and love, so it's big up to Heung-min Son.
Yeah, I thought his crossing, especially in the first half, was absolutely sensational, and it wasn't his fault that a goal didn't come from it. I thought they were pretty much on the money more often than not, and he was swinging them with his left foot, swinging them with his right foot, and I thought they were fantastic. It was just a shame one of them just didn't quite land, and we weren't able to get a goal from it. In terms of goal scoring, he'll be a bit disappointed a couple of occasions. He didn't get on the score sheet. There was one moment in the second half where Perisich floated a beautiful cross in, and he had a header right inside the 6-yard box. He couldn't really get much power on it, and ended up being saved by Pickford fairly easily. But I did feel like his link up with Perisich was a lot better in this game, and maybe there's signs that going forward they can play together, which is really, really positive. But I think it was good by Sonny.
Yeah, Arsenal just scored. That's why the moment of silence. But no, I completely agree. And Sonny is looking like a completely different player the last week than he has done maybe in the early stages of the season. Let's move on to Harry Kane, the last of the starting 11 nines all round from us. And it was a classic number 9 performance from Harry Kane. Like I said a couple of weeks ago against Frankfurt, it was a classic number 10 performance. This was an absolutely classic number 9 performance. His hold-up play was sensational. His dribbling was sensational. How many nutmegs did he do in the game yesterday? 2, I think it was. He was getting in the box. He won that penalty really well against Pickford as well. Some saying it's a dive, but I don't know what game you were watching. Slots that penalty really well. And he was just at it from minute 1 up until the 90th minute, and he was a really hard player to deal with yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he was much further up the pitch. He was much more playing like a classic number 9 rather than that hybrid playmaker role, albeit he did still get the opportunities to create some chances, especially for the likes of Richarlison. And we know when Kane puts the ball in the box, it's usually on the money. But I thought it was a battle really between him and Pickford for a lot of the game. And it seemed like for much of the game that Pickford was coming on top, but he did get the penalty. He earned the penalty, reacting quickest to the spill by Pickford. And he was able to get the goal, and a really good penalty. Pickford went the right way, still couldn't keep it out. I thought beyond that, his dribbling ability seems to be taken up a notch. I thought it was absolutely fantastic the amount of times he's taking people on and beating them and getting around them, and then being able to. And he was being able to find fellow players. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So I think Kane, again, absolutely phenomenal performance off the back of a very strong performance on Wednesday night against Frankfurt as well. He's starting to really show again how good he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Which moves us on to the substitute, Yves Bissouma. Best performance in the Spurs shirt for me, 8s all round. He came on and he was the enabler yesterday. He came on, sat deep, did everything that was asked of him defensively. Nothing got past him. Some really good aggressive tackles, some really nice touches to get away from the Everton midfielders as well. And he just enabled Ben Tankor and Højbjerg to strut their stuff in the 3-5-2. So I think he was a big part of why we looked so good in that second half.
Yeah, 100%. I thought when he came on, he was actually passing a lot more progressively than we've seen him in previous Spurs appearances, finding Kane and Son in space and setting us on attacks. So it was really, really good. I thought defensively, whenever Everton were coming forward, I thought he snuffed out their attacks really positively, making some clean challenges, but not just winning the ball, but winning possession back, and that's very important. And when he does that, it allows us to be on the front foot, and I thought it was another that was really good there. So defensively, he was good. Passing, he was good. In his press resistance, he was able to hang on to the ball, out-muscle people, and make sure we keep possession. So really impressive from Yves Bissouma, and hopefully he carries on in this vein of form.
Yeah, which moves us on to King Antonio Conte. Sim gives him a 9, I gave him an 8. And look, let's be real, because this game from pretty much the first minute up until the last minute was total domination. Yes, Everton had a couple of chances in that first half where we shouldn't have really let happen, but these things happen in the game of football, and I think that when you're looking at the whole game, it was total domination. Tactically, all game was absolutely spot on from Antonio, especially in that second half when Richarlison went off and we had to move to a 3-5-2. You really saw the chance creation and shots on goal come, and I think that Antonio played a blinder in this game. You got to say home form is absolutely spot on. I think that's like 8 wins in a row at home now. It's really because Antonio's really turned this stadium into a fortress now, and I'm loving every second. We're starting to see the team click now more as well. Last 3 games have been a lot better in terms of on the eye, as we have seen early parts of the season, and you got to say that's all down to Antonio Conte. It's a big up. Yeah,
and it would have been easy for him potentially to have not brought Bissouma at that moment where Richarlison got injured, and maybe look at Lucas Moura, who and carried on with 3-4-3, but he decided to change up the formation. I think even though in my book, I thought we were playing fairly well, he decided to change it up and it increased the level of performance and added a new dimension to it. And obviously we went from dominating with maybe some counterattacks to completely not laying anything against us and still having that threat going forward. So I think Conte managed the game to perfection. The game management was really, really strong. We deserved 3 points throughout the game, and I think as well in the first half, I think the way we came out was really strong as well. So I think Conte has to take credit for that, and I think a really good management performance from him.
Absolutely. So yeah, that is it. That is our player ratings for the 2-0 win against Everton as Spurs march on in the Premier League. Let me know your player ratings in the comments section below, and let me know what you thought of our player ratings as well. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.